What I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of background as to where I got or how I got to where I'm at in this research. We're going to talk about beef cattle, we're going to talk about soil health, we're going to talk about integrated systems. In this piece of research at North Dakota State University, I'm located at Dickinson. I don't know if you've been there or been towards Montana, but Dickinson is about 60 miles as the crow flies from the Montana-North Dakota border. So we're dry, and you're wet. At least in my mind, you're wet and we're dry. So you're talking 30-some inches of rain a year. We have on an average of 16 inches of rain and less. Okay? Some years a little bit more. We're talking about a drier system, drier farming relationship in that situation. And so what I'm going to talk about relates to this drier situation that we have in western North Dakota. The research that I'm going to talk about relative to cover crops began about 16 years ago. And 16 years ago, a fellow by the name of Trey Patterson, an animal scientist at the West River Agricultural Center in Rapid City, South Dakota, and his research team, and myself got together. Trey Patterson is now the CEO of the Padlock Ranch at Ranchester, Wyoming, and they run anywhere from 11,000 to 12,000 cows. So that's not a casual operation. Okay? So as Trey and I were visiting, one of the things we deal with is drought. In the last 100 years, we've had about 33% of those years would be considered moderate to severe drought. Okay? So we deal with dry conditions. Because we deal with dry conditions, a lot of the time, we were doing research in drought management. The drought management that we were doing had to do with early weaning of calves. As we early wean calves, we then asked ourselves the question, if we early wean this calf, what are we going to do with it? Because we don't want to put cattle in the feed yard. So what we did do then was we began looking at using unharvested corn as a feed source to graze calves. Basically background of calves grazing unharvested corn. Our farmers in the area thought we were absolutely nuts, and I think they still do. But it actually worked very well to put good gain on calves grazing unharvested corn without having to have them in a feed yard. And one of the premises that I have, and that you'll notice as we go through this talk this morning, is I'm looking for ways for the beef animal to work for me instead of me working for the beef animal. And my neighbors who put up hay work for the beef animal. Okay? They swamp it, they rake it, they bale it, they haul it, they put it in a pile or some kind of thing, they take it out of the pile, they grind it, they chop it, they bale feed it, they do something, and they start tractors and they burn a tremendous amount of fuel, carbon footprint. We don't need to do that. These animals are our hired men, and we can make them work, and they do work, and they work very nicely. Okay? So out of that, I began to listen as this research came towards an end. I began listening to a lot of people talking about cover crops. Okay? A lot of people talking about cover crops. And before I start, I want to make sure that I mention Dr. Satupla has been working with me on this for the last 6 years. She's from Turkey and comes every summer and works with us in the project. So between she and I, we manage this project along with help from soil scientists and meat scientists from NDSU, and a feedlot manager from the University of Wyoming down in Lincoln. Those are the people that are involved in this particular piece of research. You've probably seen all of those things listed here on this little sign. Okay? So as I began to wind down the previous research as it related to drought, I began to listen to these people who were talking about cover crops. They talked a lot about cover crops. So we got people like Jay Fuhrer, who spearheaded the activities in Burleigh County, Gabe Brown, Glenn Bauer, Kenny Miller, Jerry Bell. Most of those people spoke at your program in the past. Those guys were early adopters, innovators, and they put this stuff to work. So I'd go to the programs and I'd listen. quite a lot at what they were doing and how they were doing things. And then I began to develop an idea of how am I going to make this work so I can integrate beef cattle into the operation. So then I began to listen to people like Rick Beaver, Dan Forgey out of South Dakota. Those guys are in South Dakota, innovators, early adopters. Dwayne Beck, agronomist at the Dakota Lakes farm in Pierre, or North of Pierre. A lot of really smart people, and some of them operating on quite large tracts of land. And they were making this work, and they had beef cattle involved in those operations. So as I came to western North Dakota, I said, how am I going to do this? How will I put this thing together? I need to take advantage of these characteristics of minimal disturbance, diversity that includes livestock, keeping this soil in root in the soil, and at the same time, preventing erosion, increasing organic matter, increasing soil nutrient cycling, and then producing forage that we either use for hay or grazing. How would I wrap that into a total package? One of the earlier talks talked about perhaps not planning. Actually, I think they are planning. They just made some adjustments to their plan. So I began with all of this in mind. Oops, got too fast. So off the tip of that wing, I established a set of fields. That earlier research was done on this section over here in these fields with weaning cattle. But I established this set of fields. In that set of fields, and the gradient from here would be north, this will be south. As we move away from this road going south, those fields and the soil type become less and less productive. So I established this set of fields with a 5-crop rotation, and so that rotation included a control field of spring wheat. And these replicates for research are set up and established on differences in productivity of that land as we move south in that picture. So I established this diversity. As I looked at it, I said, spring wheat in my county and neighboring counties, there's about 60 to 65% of all the acres in those counties are seeded to spring wheat. Okay? So it's a very common, very adaptive crop. But today, spring wheat isn't paying the bills on those farms. And those bankers are worried about spring wheat. Because there was no diversity, there were no crop rotations. So I compared spring wheat grown continuously, which is common. The spring wheat was grown in this 5-crop rotation. And in the rotation, we began after spring wheat with a cover crop. And we'll describe that a little bit. We took a look at 2 crops that we could graze. Corn, which goes back to the corn's the early work that I've done with drought management. Also brought in a field pea barley intercrop and ended that up with sunflower. And in your handout, you have a paper that talks about crop types, cool season and warm season crops. If you look at that series of crops, as I looked at the people at the ARS station in Mandan, and also the work that Randy Anderson had done relative to weed suppression, I began to see that if I place these crops in that rotation, there's a plan, there's a reason those crops are in the sequence that they are. Because the sequence, if you follow wheat with a cover crop, these plants, or many of them, are lower use water crops. Okay? Corn is a higher use water crop. Field peas and barley, there's much more barley than pea, or much more pea than barley, uses less water. Sunflower, on the other hand, is a higher water use crop with deep roots that bring nutrients to the surface, okay, for the next subsequent crop. Consequently, it provided us with diversity with a lot of reasons to put them in this particular sequence. Now, you might have, there are many crops that will fit in the slot where I have a crop that you might grow, okay? And this is the way that I was able to think out in my mind how I would integrate livestock into a diverse cropping system. Very different than what our farmers are doing. Very different than those people that are growing 65% of their acres in spring wheat, and some of them 100% of their acres are in spring wheat. Okay? And they're going broke. If I take a look at the cover crop mix in the beginning, I used a very simple cover crop mix, one that all of you have used. So there's some flowers, oats, peas, vetch, hairy vetch, forage rake, Ethiopian cabbage, and 100-leaf turnip. We see that at about 50 pounds per acre. You can see it here growing in the field. But, can you see that in the back? Sorry about that. I can't change it. Except I can give you a black background. Anyway, so I took that cover crop, and guess what? We talked about that drought crop failure the very first year because I seeded it right after the spring wheat. We got the spring wheat off, we came in, I think we burned it down with Roundup, seeded the cover crop. Didn't rain, it sat there that dry soil because in western North Dakota, and probably here if you get it, when it's hot and dry, we combine. Okay? That's when we do that. That's why soybeans aren't particularly, they're moving our way, but it's not a particularly adapted crop because of the moisture that you need during August. And we don't have moisture, frequently moisture during August. Soybeans are a problem. As we get the genetics for those soybeans, we may have that as we move forward. But as we move towards the Montana border, soybeans become more and more of a challenge to grow. So with this in mind, I made a decision right away that I was going to make a change. And I made a change that looks like this. In that change, what I did, instead of seeding a cover crop that I planned on using that fall, I instead seeded a cover crop that really wasn't going to give me anything to graze, but that I would get something that I could, in a relay-type cropping system, that I could get a hay crop the next spring that I could cut by the middle of June. Okay? So by mid-June, I was able to take off a triticale hairy vetch crop, and then follow behind that with the cover crop that we got seeded by about the 27th of June. And this date varies from year to year, depending upon the season. And we took that cover crop in this situation, and we grazed it with cows after weaning. Okay? That cover crop then has frosted, frozen down, but there's a lot of green material in the lower canopy of that crop. Okay? So there's feed value there in the crop after it has been, even though it's frozen down and we've used it. You already heard many people talking about cover crops and when you can use it. You can use it early in the season when it's green and at its greatest nutritive quality. You can use it at midway in the season. Later, you can use it at the end after frost. You can use it after the snow thaws out the next spring and graze it then. You can utilize this cover crop many times and in many ways, depending upon how it fits into your operation. Let's talk a little bit. We're going to move away from the cover crop. We're going to move into that crop rotation. What did the rotation of the cover crop actually do to the spring wheat, which was our control and treated systems in this research? And I think if you are not a doctor yet here at this meeting, this slide and the next slide may be the most important thing to learn today, and maybe a couple more slides. But don't go to sleep on it. Okay, so what you look at here, you say, well, big deal. You haven't got any difference in total bushel yields of spring wheat. This is western North Dakota, so it's not 80 to 100 bushel per acre. Okay? This is the slide we want to look at. Okay? What happened? In the first 2 years of the study under the control here, and here's your years, 2011, 12, 13, 14, and 15, it's a 5-year study, and I need to mention that this was funded by SARE, Sustainable Ag Research and Education Program. Okay? But look over here. No difference in the first 2 years, but now our trend line here for wheat yields is going this way in the rotation, and in this situation it's going this way in the control. What's happened? What happened is what other people, and you've listened to these kinds of talks before, what's happened is in year 3, right here. In 2013, this system began to turn over. As the system began to turn over, you began to see what's happening. The soil, in our earlier slide, and on this line right here, we're talking about nutrient cycling. I didn't say that exactly, but that's what's happening on that board. We're talking about nutrient cycling, and so even though we didn't see the big changes over here yet, the change was taking place in that soil because it's not something, this is not a quick fix. It takes time for these things to establish and become rooted, that's a good term, rooted in the soil, so to speak. For that organic matter to begin to break down, for the microbial activity to take place, for those nutrients to become mineralized and available to the plant for uptake. Add to that the no-till farming concept, and as you no-till, we've heard about low nailing, we've talked about the glue that holds those soil particles together so that we can drive on that soil after a hard rain, or 10 inches of water, right? Something like that. So we can drive on those soils because of what is done, what those microbes have done in that soil, particularly the fungus that's holding those soil particles together, and not only holding them together, but at the same time producing an environment in which the filaments develop a relationship with the roots, and we have that fungal hyphae that are helping translate nutrients to the root, and from the root into the plant. So there's this symbiotic relationship that's going on that's extremely important, and is the backbone of what took place right here. I'm not a soil scientist and an animal scientist. Really, basically, I'm a high-tech cowboy. So I can't tell you all of the finer points of those things, but I can show you from a macro standpoint what's happening. Okay? And the soil scientists that are here can tell you more specifically what's happening. What about fertilizer? Did this occur because of fertilizer? I can tell you emphatically no. So let's look at fertilizer. If you look at this slide, it's a bit busy. And if you begin to look at the data that's behind it, it's not so busy, it's quite informative. In the first 3 years of the study, the fertilizer was applied according to NDSU Soils Lab recommendation for yield goals. Typical thing that producers have done for years. At the end of year 3, I said, I'm not going to put any more fertilizer on these crops. I stopped fertilizing. I said, what's going to happen? We're going to find out what happens. So I quit fertilizing, and they do have 2016 in here, but I quit fertilizing. And in the rotation, I quit fertilizing as soon as the 3rd year. And you saw the response. So when I stopped fertilizing, and I let these soil microbes do the work, and I've heard from others, as I've listened, that when you fertilize, there is nitrogen in that soil, and those organisms have somewhat of a feedback mechanism in which they, to put it in rather simple terms, you get lazy. So instead of working, there's nitrogen there, I don't need to work. So if I haven't applied a synthetic fertilizer, or fertilizer of any kind, whether it's urea or whatever, that's mostly what we use, urea, 46O. We put that out, and the nutrient, the organism will become lazy. So I said, well, they got to work now. We're going to quit putting fertilizer on. You can see where we've made some applications to corn, a little bit different to sunflowers. A little bit of stuff on the hairy bits in the fall, but I think that's a waste of money too. So we did some studies in 2014 and 15 after the turnover in the results, and we began to look at soil fertility over time instead of just with beginning of the year and the end of the year, we looked at soil fertility on a very routine basis throughout the entire growing season, beginning in the early part of June and ending basically at the end of the growing season, mid-October, okay? And what I did was I took 8-inch by 24-inch irrigation pipes, and I had them cut over to Oaks, North Dakota into these pieces. We drove them into the ground with the payloader, okay? And then we took soil samples outside of the curbing, or this root restriction zone is what it was. We restricted roots from that growing zone, and we took samples inside and outside of that curbing. That allowed us a chance to take a look at how much total fertilizer, or estimated, the amount of total fertilizer, or nitrogen, that was being produced by the soil organism, and the amount that the crop was utilizing. And we did compare that to some grassland as well, different soil types, sandy, clay, and loamy type soil out in acre range. Okay? Here's what happened. Here's what we learned. This is a 2-year average of soil fertility, and these are in days, but this is basically June. This is out in mid-October. You can see here on control, we got about 110 pounds of nitrate nitrogen, or mineral nitrogen. And mineral nitrogen in this case is the combination of ammonium nitrate and nitrate nitrogen. Those two values in the soil added together, which we refer to as mineral nitrogen, the sum of the two. And here you have grassland. This little gray line, your blue line is the crop, and the orange line is the isolated area, or the root restriction zone. So if you look, and you kind of have to dart guys back and forth across between these two charts, but if you look here, you see we have a pool, a spring pool of about 110 pounds of nitrogen here versus 150 pounds of nitrogen in the rotation. You see these drop down rapidly in the very beginning. That's a combination of denitrification and plant uptake, taking up the nutrient, okay? This point right here is harvest, or the maturity. The plant is mature, the wheat is ready for harvest, and so we have this drop as it's mature. And you see that in both of these charts, except that this value is higher in the rotation. You notice this inside the curbing, we had a total, this is around 180 some kilograms per hectare here, whereas we never reach 180 until we're basically at the end of the growing season. It's had a chance to develop through microbial activity. You might ask the question, why is the grassland so low? If you look closely at grassland and the amount of roots that are under the surface of the soil, the grassland roots have this nitrogen bound in that root mass, okay? So then when we go into the soil test, we're measuring free nitrogen that's available, not bound in that root, so it's more of a bound sort of nitrogen. So the values aren't necessarily that they aren't there, the nitrogen isn't there, it's just the fact that it is bound in the root. So we see that the rotation is working, and this zone right in here is where that yield came from, in the spring wheat yield. Now I noticed some of you falling asleep, so I don't know if this is boring, or you really don't care, or you got something else to do. Okay, but hopefully you wake up long enough to catch this information because it's useful, or you don't care. This regression is related against mineral nitrogen, contrasted against soil organic matter. The soil organic matter that we have in our fields ranges from 6 down to about 2 point something, but the majority of it here is around 4% soil organic matter, and some fields better, some fields are poorer. But we can see that the slope of the line is not a strong regression, but it's at least a regression that's going in the right direction, okay? And that's what we want to see, and as we do more over time, we may get an opportunity to see even greater amount of Gabe Brown is talking out here, 9%, and so I'm chasing Gabe Brown. I don't know if I'm going to catch it, but try it. Okay, net return on that wheat. What happened? When we take a net return on that wheat, we made a lot of money in the beginning. Wait a minute. things started to turn over, we made money with our rotation of wheat, and we lost money with our control wheat. Okay? An upset there. Very self-explanatory. What about the net return from those other crops? The other crops, if you look at wheat based on dollars per acre net return and dollars per acre, I have a lot more slides, but I don't have time for all this. We averaged about $10 over the 5-year period, about $10 per acre more with our rotation wheat than we did with our control wheat. And in that rotation, we have these other crops: the corn, the field pea barley, and the cover crop. And this is based on forage production, basically. But then our oil seeds, a much higher net return from our oil seeds. So we have two crops here that really produce, just from the cropping side, that produce us a little better net returns in the system. So at the end of the day, we like to look at soil. This is certainly not dirt, it's very much alive. But you can notice here in the control the plating that is taking place, and just not as healthy a looking soil here. But if we look at the rotation soil, you can notice the amount of cottage cheese type effect in here, the organic matter that's filling this zone. And of course, as we think of organisms, and there's all sorts and millions of organisms in the soil, but the earthworm, that isn't good. The earthworm is one of those climax species, the climax things that are in the soil, so we see a lot of earthworms in our soil profile. What I'd like to do now is move away from cropping systems and move into livestock. We'll talk about cattle and how we perhaps made some money grazing livestock, extending the grazing season, in fact, extending the grazing season very long, going from putting yearling cattle out on pasture to actually slaughtering cattle. So we go from pasture to plate in that type of situation. Maybe not for everyone, but it gives us some ideas to think about. If I take a look, and I've used a series of pictures here to follow ourselves through, but if I begin, I've taken that stocker cattle grazing sequence here and the cost per steer on this particular slide. So I've got these yearlings that are out the first week of May. We put them out on native pastures, and they're out there for about 108 days. We need some time for these crops to grow and develop. And from there, we then, and not into the high density stocking type of research yet, but that may come. At any rate, we've got field pea barley here that's waiting to be grazed, and so in order to, and I don't like machines, but in this case I did use a machine, the objective here was to track crude protein. Okay, I work on the basis of crude protein, not so much on Brix value, but on crude protein. Okay, crude protein is one of the issues that I use to put pounds of beef on cattle. So I swathed that, laid it down into swaths, and then we came back and we grazed the swaths. You can see the residue here. And that cost us about $63 a steer. Our grazing here was about $115 per steer. At the end of this, you see the corn in the background. Those cattle then moved into unharvested corn. Green corn grazed there about 71 days on an average at $111 a steer. And then of course it froze down. So in this frosted frozen corn, we fed some protein supplement, and you got about $11 invested per head in supplement. If I look at the performance from those cattle, when we began, they were out there for 211 days. The start weight is 780 pounds. Their performance, their ending weight, of 1,275 pounds. So we've got cattle with growth, with the capability of putting some weight on, okay? They put on 495 pounds, and whoa, I wonder what happened to that. It's $300 an acre. All of those values on your slide added up to $300. Whoa. Something happened. This value is 2.34 pounds a day, and this value here is 61 cents per pound a gain. Okay. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. If we take a look at that annual forage grazing net return and get these cattle up to where they either want to go to market or you continue on and take them to the feed garden, right? So if we look at this, we've got an annual cow cost of $603, backgrounding cost of $153. We just said we got a steer grazing cost of $300. It adds up to these values, with a grazing net return of around $200 per steer and a net return per acre of $186. This is based on, I recalculated everything on the 19th of January. You know we've gone through quite a reversal in cattle prices. Okay? It's been huge. So with reversal in cattle prices, this has changed quite a bit. The dynamic has changed a bit. But one thing that, as you know, well, I'll move along a little bit further. I'll come up with some other values later on as we move forward. So we have a decision. Do we keep the cattle and carry them on to finish? Or do we take the cattle and do we send them to an order buyer, or do we sell them at our local auction? What do we do with those cattle? Sometimes we can get hurt with cattle that weigh that much. Not always, but it can happen. This particular year, with the drop in cattle prices, they bring it, as you saw, they bring about $1 a pound. We'd like a little more than that. If we carried them on to slaughter, going from our cornfields to the feedlot and then to the packing plant, our feedlot days on feed with the control group of cattle is 211 days. Now, it's just coincidental with the 2 days of 211 of the same. It just happened that way. However, those grazing cattle, when they went to the feed yard, were only on feed for an average of 82 days. Those of you who finish cattle know that 82 days in the feed yard is a very, very short period of time. About a third of the number of the days, or 40% of the time, cattle are normally in the feed yard. That's because during the grazing period, through all of those fields, these cattle were gaining. They were increasing in muscle quality, in marbling as they were grazing. And so it didn't take very long to reach a high degree of choice carcass ready. Average daily gain went from in the control group, 344, to the extended graze group when they once arrived at the feedlot, 4.7. The reason for that is what we refer to as compensatory growth. Okay? So the animals experience, when you have animals with a genetic propensity to gain at this rate, and they're out on these fields gaining 2 1/4 pounds a day over the total growing period, we have created sort of a natural nutrient restriction, okay? Because these crops are very nutritive in the beginning and their nutritive quality declines over time, okay? So on the average, they probably have not received the highest amount of nutrition that they needed to meet their maximum genetic potential for gain and feed efficiency, okay? So because of that, once they do get to the feed yard where protein is adequate, energy is adequate, they gain at a very rapid rate and they're much more efficient. So if we look at feed efficiency in those steers that have been growing in our sequence of crops in the cropping system, we see here that our control cattle gain 8 to 26, about 27 pounds of feed per day with a feed efficiency of 7.6. However, our grazing cattle consume more because they're heavier cattle to begin with, 29 pounds of feed per day with about a pound, not quite, but almost a pound and a half less feed per pound of gain. Very important, because that's one of the big deals in cattle feed is feed costs. I just have to move on because our cost of gain has disappeared. I should have those in my head, but I don't. Excuse me. I got this ready. Okay, 81 cents. 81 cents in the feedlot per pound gain, and 58 cents per pound gain in the extended graze treatment. If we look at percent choice, I find this rather interesting. I can't explain it necessarily. Just the relationship of what went on in the feed period. Oops. But The percent choice being the same number. I can't exactly explain it, except that both treatments, both groups of cattle perform very similarly. Okay? Even though one was in the feedlot 211 days, the other one was only in the feedlot for 81 days. It gives you a very clear picture of what is going on during that grazing period. When those cattle were grazing those different forages, they were being managed based on crude protein. I tried to have forages that were around at least above or close to 10% crude protein before I moved them to the next forage, except in the case of corn, and you notice I fed protein supplement, if you remember. Okay. So, and those are just some of the stakes before we sent them to a laboratory for tenderness evaluation, flavor, juiciness, etc. And basically, the bottom line is there's no difference between the two. The way the two kinds of cattle were produced, the bottom line was they were just as juicy, just as flavorful, and a very good eating experience. This is an interesting slide. And there are just bars there, and I'm a little frustrated with those. I don't know, this is actually minus $30 in this first chart. This is minus $30. I did 2 experiments. I didn't give you 2 experiments worth of data, but in 2 experiments, this is the net return. Minus $30 for a pasture group that grazed only native pasture and went to the feed yard. The annual forage group and a feedlot group that was in the feedlot. The feedlot group lost $298 a head. The annual forage group made $9 a head. So what do you got? $307 difference between these 2 sets of cattle. That's a good way to go bankrupt. All right? But generally, this is offset using futures and options, packer basis contracts, whatever sort of risk management to offset this kind of situation, or you wouldn't have a cattle feeding industry. On the other hand, here's another set of steers where the net return was $250 out of the feedlot and $292 out of your extended graze cattle. You need to know what went on behind the scenes, so to speak, in the cattle industry to understand why those charts are the way those charts are. Okay? And the point being, in experiment 1, we had feed costs rising rapidly for corn. The $7 corn, etc. Okay? So as feed costs rose, but cattle prices didn't really rise, but feed costs went extremely high. This is the function of those high feed costs, but look what our annual forage cattle did. They were able to be profitable without the use of risk management tools. Okay? And that's the point to drive home, is that we are profitable with our system without the use of risk management. Now that doesn't mean you can't hedge these cattle as well, because they operate independently. In this experiment, experiment 2, the first year, it's a 3-year study, the first year of the study, feed costs were fairly high. But in the second 2 years of the study, feed costs began to work their way down. All right? And cattle prices began to work their way up. And so carcasses in this study, some of them sold for as high as almost $2,300 a carcass. That's a lot of money for a beef carcass. At any rate, the reason these numbers aren't as large as they actually were is that I've adjusted these numbers in my spreadsheet to reflect the current $1.20 price per fat cattle right now. Okay, some of these numbers previously, this number before was close to $900 per head in that return, and this one here was $600 and something. The relationship hasn't changed. We're just making less money. But the point being, we made money with these cattle during that time frame. If we now take the same set of circumstances, and in that same set of circumstances draw in today's cattle prices and today's feed prices, we won't be back to this, but we won't be probably getting these kind of returns either. because we're now at $1.20 or something like that. They could be similar to this. But let's move on. That's what happened in feeding cattle, and we see that our system was able to support sustainability and profitability. Okay? I did another experiment using cover crops. Remember I mentioned the cover crop was grazed in the fall after frost, after calves had been weaned from the cows. Okay? In that situation, I took 144 cows, made June calving cows, and I put 48 of those cows in each of these experimental treatments, and we wintered them from November to April. And this is one of those studies where I want the cows to work for me instead of myself working for the cows. I fed them a couple pounds of crude protein supplement, and I priced my hay at $65 a ton. Now your hay may be $120 a ton, I don't know, it's possible. The relationships may change, but the principles won't. Okay? And in that study, I fed cows all hay, basically in a confinement area like you would do, sacrifice area, whatever you want to call it. Another group would graze the cover crops, would graze the corn and the sunflower residues. And in a third group, I'd taken hay and stockpiled the hay, and when we grazed through that, we'd also graze some corn residues. Okay? This is just some pictures of the cover crop one. So here's your cover crop that you saw in the spring, or in the early part of the season. And here's your cover crop, and you may be able to see, or you may not be able to see, but down underneath the canopy here, there's a lot of green plants. Okay, those brassicas are showing up down in here. In fact, Alan Williams may have been out to, probably when this was nice and green, and saw these crops one summer. At any rate, we finished the cover crops, we went into corn residue after those yearling steers had gone through the crop, and then we grazed. When I combined the flowers, we windrowed the flowers, we just dropped it, we didn't spread it, and then the cows came back and they grazed these windrows. Gained some pretty decent weight on those sunflower residue is very high in nutritive value. It's a very good feed, and so if you have an opportunity to use it in a cattle operation, it certainly works well for cows for grazing. Well, let's look at the other one. Now, in western North Dakota, we have the opportunity, because of the kind of topography we have, we left this hay and stockpiled this hay instead of swathing and baling it. We just left it standing. Okay? And we didn't put it up as bales like we have here in the background. Okay? When we got done grazing that hay, those grasses, taking half, leaving half, or taking 60%, leaving 40%, something like that. Okay? Went in and grazed corn stalks, again, that had been previously grazed by our yearling steers, and then when we finished grazing, in both cases, after the animals were done grazing, we fed them hay. They went into the dry lots and we fed hay. Okay? Again, May, June calving. One of the reasons that this works is because of May, June calving rather than, let's say, March and April, which is extremely common in our region, March, April calving, is we move the beginning of the third trimester of cattle, we moved it forward by about 2 months. Okay? So instead of the third trimester occurring, the beginning of the third trimester occurring in mid-December, it now occurs in mid-February. That gives us the opportunity to graze lower quality forages for a much longer period of time, okay? Because we're in that third trimester. The other part about May, June calving is that our green grasses in our area begin to green up around the first part of April. So by the time we get to the first part of May, and our average calving date is May 25th, we've got green grass. So we have a longer period of time to graze poor quality forage or low quality forages, and we have green grass during the time that we're calving. So we've shortened the amount of time that our cows need to be on really high quality or much higher quality feed in preparation for calving. Okay? So we take advantage of the environment, grasses, forages, and to reduce the cost cost of production. That's the idea. Get these cows to work for us, and those cows will work. They'll be out there foraging and roughaging because they like to graze. Now, if you take a front-end loader cow, those are the welfare cows, those that wait at the gate, waiting for you to come with your machines. They're a little bit more difficult to transition, if they've been trained over years, to transition those older cows. But if cows have been in a grazing environment, the calves that are in utero, there is a neurohumoral relationship between the mother and the fetus in the uterus, and that calf that's born will have a greater propensity for grazing than one that was born under a being fed government environment type situation, okay, welfare cow. So we need those cows to work for us, right? So let's look what happens when the cow is working for us in terms of dollars and cents. To begin with, this is just the number of days of grazing, so our residue cows grazed about 73 days, and our grass cows grazed 107 days, with a little bit more grass. So we'll push this system. We'll see what they'll do. Okay? If you look at that chart and you see the amount of hay that our control cows ate compared to the amount of hay that our grazing stockpile hay cows, you can see that it's a little more than 5 times as much hay went into those cows than did the grazing cows, the hay grazing cows, and our residue cows are kind of in the middle here, and doing these two groups really encouraging. Now, I don't know if you can see that way in the back, but I get creative with these slides sometimes. Anyway, hay cost per cow from $173 down to $30. You probably say, gee, how can you possibly winter a cow for $30? If your hay was twice as much, you'd be wintering a cow for $60. Okay? And your residue cows in between. Both of these work very well. Very well. So total winter feed cows, if we bring in the cost of farming for the cover crop, we have to get that in there. The residue cows, we charge the cost of production to the primary operation. The grazing, the soy, the sunflowers, whatever that primary crop was, it got all the expenses. So when we come behind with our residue grazing, we'll calculate all of that in there. But in this case, because cover crops were part of it, and cover crops had not been accounted for previously, the farming costs for cover crops are included in this bar, or it would be much lower. See? However, in this case, with the hay, we had less expenses, so we only have about $73 in supplement. They were supplemented while they're out grazing this material. They were getting a couple of pounds of supplement we talked about earlier on. So what about the body condition? Now the cows are large. We have 2 herds of cows. We have a small herd, we have a small number of a small herd, and we have a larger number of more traditional frame score cows. Okay? This study was done with our more traditional frame score cows. As you can see, they're pretty good size inside the cover crops here, but they average about 1,500 pounds, I guess, between the different groups. And you can see our gains here. The hay cows gain 205 pounds, whereas our grass grazing cows gain 112 pounds. If you pop over here and look at body condition score, you'll see that both of the cover crop and the hay cows increased body condition score, whereas the grass cows stayed the same at 5.4. So basically there was no change in theirs, whereas the other cows gained increased from 0.7 to 0.8 condition score during that winter period. In the case of the cover crop cows, they got a few more days on hay, and that hay is what increased their forage quality, their body condition scores.